Good morning. My name is Amy Hoyt, and I'm the GIS manager with Lee County. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about the power of GIS and how we can use it in the environmental cause. GIS, for those of you who are not familiar with that term, is Geographic Information Systems. And in the simplest form, it's computer mapping. And one of the things that it does really well is it takes data that's been locked inside databases, Excel spreadsheets, that sort of thing, and it allows us to visualize it so we can see spatial trends. We can see how far a cool place to visit is from our house. So I've known Moran for several years now through the calendar and the photo contests, and we chat about GIS occasionally. And she had mentioned to me that she had a spreadsheet that she had been putting together for special places within the watershed. So this is what we started with, and I know you can't read it, and even when I looked at it on the screen, I couldn't read it. So it is a spreadsheet of over 500 records of special places, and not only is it just the location of the special places, but it also tracked up to 50 different types of activities that could happen in these places. So we're looking at a spreadsheet that's 500 records long and 50 records wide. Imagine shifting through that and trying to make any sense whatsoever of this information. So she had mentioned one time it would be really great to see these on a map. And I happened to volunteer and said, oh, we can do that, no problem. So the first thing we did is I had a summer intern that worked for free 2 summers ago. So that was a perfect place to start. So I had him take this spreadsheet and convert it into locations. There was an address for each record, and there was also an activity list of which places participated in which activities. And these are some of the 50 activities that have been tracked in that database. And we've added a couple along the way as well. So we took that spreadsheet and through the magic of GIS, created point locations from those addresses and created a map. So now we actually can visualize all these cool places that Moran had been collecting for years and stick them on a map and let people see them and have access to them. So far we have 507 places. And now once we got these on the map, because this data had been worked over many, many years, the list of activities and had perhaps not been as accurate as they could be. They'd been collected by different people. So what we needed to do was now verify every single one of these points for the different types of amenities at each point. Because if you say that there's ADA accessible trails and someone is relying on that information, there had better be ADA accessible trails. So we asked for volunteers, Moran asked for volunteers from the group, and we came up with 3 folks that volunteered to go through these points, point by point, research the amenities in each point, and update that list of possibly 50 amenities. So I set up an interface for our volunteers to use. They logged in with a password, and they were able to use this interface to zoom in and click on every single point, find out the information that had come from the database, and verify it. So addresses, names, the URL link to more information about the place, and again, all of the activities that you could do at the place. And then go through that list and update which ones had specific activities and put a yes in the field. And at the bottom, when you are done, put the date and the person who QA'd it so we know that someone has looked at it and we know when it has been looked at. So this process, up until recently, had been going on, so it took over a year or so, and our last volunteer, David Cron from Lee County, he did over 285 points. So he QA'd more than half of these points, so he did an awesome job, as well as the Palmers from Sarasota. So now we have this database that's quite accurate, and we need to get it out to the public. So I went ahead and put together an interactive map for you all to see. Now, to get to this map, Lee County has a Maps and Apps webpage. And right now, it's hosted on our site from our webpage. I think Moran will link to it off of her webpage once she's done updating hers. But it is on the Lee County webpage under Maps and Apps. Or if you want to go straight to it, the URL is here, leegis.leegov.com/CHNEP. We'll get you to the same place. So to get this rolling, and we also have a mobile version. So if you have an iPhone or an Android with a small screen, we have a version that lets you look at the points, tap on the points, and get information about it. It doesn't have all the functionality as the full-blown application, which I'll show you, but you can have this with you out in the field and still get all the information. And there's a QR code on that website to scan, and it'll open right up on your phone. So this is the public interfacing website. This was completed yesterday at about 4 o'clock. So it's right off the presses. I was tweaking it up until the end and had to redo slides. Basically, when you open up this website, the search window is opened up for you. Now, this is version 2 of this software, this application. The first version that I presented at a previous concert didn't have the search capabilities. And of course, the first thing that people wanted to do was, I want to find locations that have horseback riding. Well, we didn't have any search capabilities at that time. So I had a consultant write a search widget that's awesome. So now we can search by whatever you'd like to do. So the first thing you can search by is the type of location. So we have boat ramps, conservation, forest, garden, very general types. So if you wanted to see one of those types, you could search by it. We also have them broken down by subtype. So if you want to look at a nature center or a pier or a historic place, you can look at it that way. So let's choose nature center. And down at the bottom of that very long list that has all of the 50 amenities on it, there's a search button. Go ahead and click on that, and it will find anything that matches your search criteria. So this is for nature center. It brings up these examples of the nature centers. Find the one you're interested in, click on it from the list, and it will zoom to it on the map and open up a pop-up window that shows you the information about that site. So you have the address, phone numbers, and you have a link for more information. So these are the URLs to the websites about this location. So if you click on that, it will pop up a URL and you can get lots more information about it. You can also just zoom into the map and click on any of these points and get that same pop-up. So if you like to zoom around and see things for yourself, you don't have to search. You can just click on the map. So let's try something different. Instead of looking for a type of place, let's look at some amenities that you might be interested in. So I would like to know the places that have biking, birding, and canoeing and kayaking. I'm going to do kind of a weird triathlon, okay? So you can pick one or more of these options, and you can even do it by subtype. So whatever you have in this search list, it will use all of them to find the resulting place. So again, I'm going to do these 3 amenities, and it's just a drop-down pick list that you choose. I'm going to click on the search, and it's going to give me the results. Now, you can click on the columns, the name column or the subtype, and it will sort itself alphabetically if that helps you find a place. So I went ahead, and since I'm from Lee County, I picked Lakes Regional Park. And again, it zooms in, pops up the information. And you see at the bottom here, this was QA'd by David earlier this year. So not only do you have the option of looking at the default street map, but the buttons up at the top, and then we have one up here, these rows of buttons right here, do other things as well. So we have a base map button. If you want to see the aerial photography that comes default, you can click on the aerial photography, and now it switches the base map out, so you can see really what's going on at that location. And then you could switch it back to streets. If you prefer a different coloring of the streets, all of these base maps are available for you to use. Another button at the top is for the legend. So all of these cool little icons that you see, what do they mean? Well, this is the legend that will show you what each one of them represents, and it's the general types that we've categorized these places. And I've also added recently the blueways for the 3 counties, Lee, Charlotte, and Sarasota. So they're in there as well. You can click on them, and there is a link with them as well that will take you to the county's Blueways website, tell you more about amenities for those. Another cool widget in this interface is directions. Now, it's not cool enough that you can actually click on the map and say, I want to go from here to here. You do have to fill in the address. So if you happen to know your address from your home, most of us do, and you've clicked on a place that you'd like to go to, make note of the address. And then on this screen, you can type in your from and to addresses, and it will actually give you driving directions. And of course, time, which you can take with a grain of salt. But it does provide the route for you. So if you want to investigate some places you're not familiar with, you can get driving directions. There's also actually a pretty cool print widget. So if you want to make a little map of the area that you're looking at for a presentation or to just take with you, you can choose your map title, name it whatever you'd like. You can choose landscape, portrait. It will make a PDF. And by default, it makes a pretty nice looking map. It puts the legend on the bottom and a scale bar with your title on the top. And of course, the last widget is the, hey, what's this all about widget. So here, if you have any questions about the site or the locations, or you think you know of some special places that aren't on there and you'd like to add some, there's the email that you can send a request to. So Moran is the contact for this. I host it, but she runs it. So if you have any concerns or any new places you'd like to add, also the links that we set up for each one of these. Most of these are going to government web pages, and as a government, we tend to change our path names often. So if you come across links that are broken, please let us know and we'll go through and fix them. They've already changed twice for 2 of the counties since we started this project. So if you do see things broken, don't hesitate to let us know. We're all about fixing it and making it better. Now, another application that I wanted to talk about that's not really accessible to the public but is kind of interesting, in Lee County, as in most of the coastal counties, we have our turtle people. So we have this great application that I put together this year using iPads or phones where they can go out onto the beach and actually locate turtle nests. So they can locate nests, the original nest. If they've relocated a nest, they can indicate where that is as well. If there's been false crawls, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a really great tool where in the past, they didn't have this to be able to map this while they're out on the beach. And now they do. So they map the nest, and then there's a lot of information they can put in about it. Number of eggs, when it was mapped, species, etc. And they can also take a picture and attach it to it. So now we have pictures of all the nests, which is really great. We also do this for turtle lighting violations. So we can cite people for lighting violations on the beach after 9 p.m. So it's very important we know the time, because if it's before 9 p.m., you can have your lights on. Not that the turtles know that, but... So we're able to use the same application to do lighting violations. So you would click on the map, and when you enter this information in, one of the really important pieces of information it records is the time and the date that you put the information in. So we know what time you were there, and we can sync that up and make sure it was past the appropriate time. And of course, we can take a picture. So this is down on Fort Myers Beach. I'll show you a picture. This is a place that should know better. That was the amount of light coming from one of the hotels on Fort Myers Beach the first night they went out. So it takes a little bit of time for these guys to catch on that they need to change their lighting on the beach. But this is a really great way for several agencies to use this application to collect their information and have it all in one place. And with that, I will take any questions.
Hi, Amy. I think it's a great service you provided, and I think it's great to open and make some of these areas more accessible. Conversely, it concerns me as a land steward that we need to be careful that people know when they go on these lands, as Jim so well addressed, that they need to live lightly on the land and be aware of wildlife and be good stewards. I don't know how that can be, if there's any links that can be to take that next step, but I'm a little concerned that while making these places open is certainly important and they belong to the public, we need also to help the public be aware of how they can take care of these areas and not harm them and not overuse them. And I think we're going to have a talk later on carrying capacity. So has that been considered at all? Or?
Well, I mean, we could certainly have a pop-up menu when you get in to kind of give you a general rule of, publicly accessible environmental special places. kind of thing, and Moran can provide me with that, and I can put that on there.
There's a whole program called Leave No Trace, so that would be the logical one to link to, probably.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. But these are all publicly accessible lands, and we're just putting them
Understood.
in one place for folks to take a look at and, maybe check out.
Great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I work for Collier County. So you mentioned you hired a consultant to assist. Was that expensive? And if it was, would the widgets be available for other counties?
Well, the consultant that we use already does work for us, so it was not expensive. And I will have to check with them, but I don't see why we couldn't share that particular widget. The application that we're looking at is a new Java application. It's in beta right now for the ESRI GIS software. The Java Web App Builder is coming out, I believe, in November. And it's a really great tool for people who are non-programmers. I'm kind of a hacker, but I'm not a programmer. So I can put together an interface like that very easy by just saying I want this widget and this widget. But for custom widgets, I do have a programmer that programs the custom widgets that I can add to it. So I will check to see if that custom widget can be available. Anything else? Great, thank you. Oh.
It's more of a statement. We at the Charlotte Harbor National Estuary Program think you are awesome. And,
Thank you.
and we are so appreciative to this fabulous application that you've provided us. It's been a long time coming, and to see it live is just remarkable. And we wanted to acknowledge you with a framed print with our iconic osprey, our major
wow.
major feature. So thank you so much.